Video clear? Come on, tell me. Is audio video clear? Everything fine? Okay. So today we are discussing, give me a moment. Today we are going to discuss union budget. Union budget, it is the topic of module B, class number 14 of IE&IFS paper 1. This is your first paper of JAIIB exam, and this class is particularly for May-June 2024 cycle. Here in this class we will try to cover theory and MCQs as well, but due to some time constraint, I have already told you we will not be able to cover the whole syllabus here. For that you have to join the paid batch. If any one of you wants to take the paid batch, they can apply this code Shachi, SHACHI. This is the code, faculty code. You will get 40% off after applying this code. Okay, so you just need to apply it and the code will be unlock the offer, so you can avail it outrightly after that. Okay, you need not to do anything. So with this, I am welcoming you and starting the class for today. Magic is believing in yourself. If you can do that, you can make anything happen. Okay, what is union budget? Union budget is the annual budget, basically annual budget of the country. Annual budget of the country is called union budget. Usually it comes on the month of February. Okay, so union budget is what? Union budget is the annual budget of the country. It discusses what? Revenue concept, expenditure concept and deficit concept. What is revenue receipts? What is tax receipts? What is gross tax revenue? We will be discussing all these concepts here. Okay. So when we are talking about the tax revenue, corporation tax, income tax, other taxes and duties will be there. Custom, union tax, service tax, taxes on union territories. When we are talking about net tax revenue means gross tax revenue, whatever the revenue attained, whatever the revenue have been received by the government from the tax sources, minus NCCD transfer to National Calamity Contingency Fund minus state share. Whatever the share of the state is included in the particular gross tax revenue, that should be reduced to get at the net tax revenue. Okay, basically gross tax revenue, out of which NCCD to the National Calamity Contingency Fund and the state shares, when we reduce all these 2 points from the gross tax revenue, we will get net tax revenue. Okay, what is total non-tax revenue? Total non-tax revenue means, non-tax means this is not arising out of the taxes. Okay, like interest receipt, the government has earned interest on some securities or loans, dividends or profit, external grants received by the government, other non-tax revenue, receipts of union territories, all these are considered as the total non-tax revenue. When we talk about the total revenue receipts, it will include the tax revenue plus non-tax revenue. Tax revenue plus non-tax revenue. Okay. Basically, tax revenue includes what? All these things. And what does net tax revenue means? Gross tax revenue minus NCCD and state share. And non-tax revenue are interest receipt, dividend, profit, external grant and other non-tax revenues. Okay, when we combine these two, we will get what? We will get total revenue receipts. Total revenue receipts. Okay, receipts which are of the nature of revenue, not capital. Okay, now revenue part is over. Tax and non-tax receipts, that is of revenue nature. Now what is capital receipts? Capital receipts are non-debt receipts and debt receipts. Debt receipts means receipts arising out of some debt, and the non-debt receipts, that means which is not related to some debt. What is non-debt receipt? Recovery of loans and advances. Here there is no any debt being raised. Here the loans and advances made was recovered, so it is a receipt for the government, so it is considered as non-debt receipt. Miscellaneous capital receipts are also considered as non-debt receipts. What are debt receipts? Debt receipts means market loans, short-term borrowings, external assistance, security issued against small savings, state provident funds, other receipts by the government are called debt receipts. That means it has to be repaid to the public later on. Okay, that's why it is considered as debt receipt. It needs to be paid off in the future. Okay, so when we talk about basically receipts, when we talk about, I'll give you a chart. Receipts can be revenue receipts, it can be capital receipts. When we talk about the revenue receipts, it is again divided into, see, we have seen here revenue receipts, tax revenue and non-tax revenue. Tax revenue receipts and non-tax revenue receipts. Non-tax revenue receipts. Okay. When we are talking about capital receipts, it is basically again of two types: non-debt receipt and debt receipt. Debt receipt and non-debt receipt. Non-debt receipt. Okay. So this is the total overview of receipt part. Now we are going to the expenditure part. Budget is the budget constitute both the things, the receipts and the expenditure. Receipts we have seen. Now expenditure. Expenditure can be planned or non-planned. What is non-planned expenditure? Non-plan expenditure means revenue non-plan expenditure and capital non-plan expenditure. Non-plan, which is not being planned in the advance. Okay, so here this non-plan expenditure again can be the nature of revenue or the capital. Now, what is revenue expenditure? Revenue expenditure means expenditure on the recurring basis. Okay, it does not create any asset. Okay, or discharge any liability. Basically, interest payment and prepayment premium, defense subsidies, grant to state, union territory, pension, police, assistance of states from national calamity contingency fund, economic services, social services, postal deficit, grant to foreign government. These are revenue expenditure basically. When we are talking about the defense capital expenditure, defense can also be considered some part of it as a capital expenditure. Other non-plan capital outlay, loan to public enterprises, loan to state, union territory government, loan to foreign government. Here it is basically creating somewhat debt. It is creating somewhat debt. Some liability is creating on. Okay, or some asset is basically not liability. Here when you expenditure giving the or expending something on the public enterprises or given some loan to someone, this is creating your asset, because in turn you will get the repayment from the public or the state or the foreign government. So capital expenditure means here there is some creation of asset due to this kind of expenditure. Revenue expenditure is that kind of expenditure where there is no asset creation out of that expenditure. Okay, so basically revenue non-plan, expenditure, and capital non-plan expenditure becomes the total non-plan expenditure. When we talk about the plan expenditure again is classified into revenue expenditure and capital expenditure. Revenue that does not create any asset, central plans, central assistance for state, union territory plans, these are revenue expenditure. Okay, when we are talking about capital expenditure, plan capital expenditure is the central plan which has been made by the central government. Central assistance for state and union territory plans, that means the central assistance given to the states or the union territories for their plan. Okay, so here the plan expenditure constitute revenue expenditure, capital expenditure, and the total expenditure constitutes the non-plan expenditure and total plan expenditure. See, expenditure can be plan expenditure and non-plan expenditure. Plan expenditure again can be classified into the nature of revenue and capital. We have seen here, see, the revenue expenditure and capital. And non-plan is again, you know, classified into revenue nature and capital nature. Okay, so the total expenditure constitutes this plan, non-plan. Okay, now the total basically the budget constitutes the revenue as well, expenditure as well, and the deficit concepts also. Now, what are the deficit concepts? Revenue deficit, financing of fiscal deficit, gross fiscal deficit, net primary deficit, NCCD, that means National Council on Crime and Delinquency. ये सारी चीजें, all these things will be discussed in the paid batch in detail. So if you want to discuss all these things with MCQs, you should join the paid batch. I promise you that investment will not, go wrong, and it will fetch, definitely it will fetch returns for you. So with this, I am concluding today's session. If you have not joined my Telegram channel, you should join it by scanning this QR code. You will be able to join my Telegram channel where you will be getting all the updates about the classes, whether paid or free. And simultaneously you should also join the telegram channel of official telegram channel of Oliveboard, so you will get all the updates, MCQs, and all the related stuffs given by the Oliveboard. You should join that channel also. So with this, you if you like the lecture, please do like, share, and comment. Let me know you like the class, or if you don't like the class, please do let me know. Give suggestions, I am ready to incorporate it. And don't forget to subscribe the channel. When you subscribe the channel, then only you will get the updates about the class. So with this, on this note, I am concluding today's session. Bye bye, take care, good night, see you tomorrow again at 7 a.m. We have a class schedule. I am again telling you the class schedule. IE&IFS in the morning 7 a.m. PPB in the evening 8 p.m. YouTube PPB 9 p.m. YouTube IE&IFS 9:30 p.m. And also we are having one batch for SBI Clerk to Scale 1 promotion exam. That class is conducted at 7 p.m. So you should also join that batch if you are from SBI and you want to get promoted from Clerk to Scale 1. So with this, I am concluding today's session. Bye bye, take care, good night. See you at 7 a.m. tomorrow. Bye bye.